You're not a joke, innit? And
Yeah.
I mean, if you're matched up with Alistair Overeem full stop, you're clearly someone, innit? You're clearly something. So
Is Alex? Is Overeem now? Is he now a gatekeeper, or is he on a run for the belt at this point?
who are you asking? Are you asking him? Because if so, then he will tell you 100% he's maybe one last. I mean, he said that like, you know, multiple times now. He said this is one last run. He's not oblivious to the fact that he's getting older. He's not sort of thinking, oh yeah, like I'm in it for the long run. He's said one last run, and I quite like the story of that. Do you know what I mean? Especially considering his career so far, where he's been a dream champion, a glory champion, a K1 champion, like
all of them.
The one thing that's eluded him is that UFC title.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I quite like the story of that he's sort of given it this one last push. And I mean, let's be real. If he loses on Saturday, we could see him retire, because if you lose, I mean, this is the problem with heavyweight right now. And I don't want to sort of take it too much of a tangent in it, but this is the problem with heavyweight. Imagine you're going into this fight as Volkov or Overeem, and you know that you have not got the next, because it's already booked. The next heavyweight title fight is booked. Stipe Ngannou 2, that's booked. That's happening in late March. And you know you're not getting the one after that either, because John Jones is. So especially for someone who's, you know, he's no puppy in this. He's been here a while, and he ain't got too long left. If you lose this fight and you think, oh, I haven't got enough time to work my way back up, to go back through the rankings, I don't have enough time to do that. And even if you win, there's still no guarantee of a title shot, because the heavyweight title is so up in the air. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like you know that obviously we've got this title fight coming up. If Ngannou Stipe wins, I don't think it matters. John Jones is getting the winner.
Yeah, 100%, and he should. And
I'm not mad at that at all, and I'm excited for it as a fan. But you know what I mean? Like, imagine being in the UFC heavyweight division, and you've got Curtis Blades as well, who's looking like a killer. It feels like the one person he can't beat is Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. And I don't know why I haven't. I don't know whether it's just luck or been something else has been on or whatever. I haven't seen hardly anything of him fighting. I haven't seen hardly any of his fights, and it's a shame, because I know he's the shit. And you told me a lot about him, and I'm just like, I just keep on missing him, man. I've not actually seen him. I haven't gone back and seen tape, and I know that he's fighting Derek Lewis. I think within the next month or so, anyway, soon, anyway, right? But I think that Derek Lewis is on a new. He's on a new thing right now. It's only because I don't know enough about Blaze to say, yeah, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. I know what Derek is doing. He looks good, man. I think he looks really good. He looks like he's taking his training to a whole nother level. His cardio training. He looks like he's in the hella shape, and I think he looks mean, man. He looks hella mean right now.
Absolutely. But what I will say is, if you're asking my opinion on how that fight will go, I think it'll be almost a carbon copy of when DC defended his title against Derek. In between the Stipe fights, and it wasn't competitive. It just wasn't competitive, and I don't think it will be when he fights Curtis Blades. Like, I mean, Curtis Blades' wrestling is so good, and that combine that with the fucking size and the strength of this man.
It's a big old bastard.
Like, I mean, we've had conversations in the past. About Francis Ngannou's power being that great equalizer. That is the only thing that can stop Curtis Blades, and someone not like him with that kind of size and that kind of wrestling ability. That massive one-punch knockout power from a guy as big. They're both weighing on the nose, 265 on the limit.
Fuck, you know.
That's the only thing that can even, in my opinion, that's the only thing that can even trouble someone like Curtis Blades.
So if Blades for you, and I will after this, I'm going to go and deep dive into this and see what time it is now, because I'm just so super interested, and I'm invested in Derek anyway, so I want to see who he's up against. So you're saying that, like, if Ngannou didn't have his gifts, shall we say, didn't have his physical attributes, Blades will be ripping shit out of most people right now, as far as skill for skill.
Yep.
That's calm, man. That sounds cool to me.
I think, you know, his striking is not like the best, but again, when you're that size,
yeah,
you know, you're carrying a lot of power regardless of whether you've got that Francis Ngannou knockout power. You're dangerous on the feet regardless.
that's what I
And
mean.
his ability to take people down is I mean, it's Khabib level ability to keep people off their feet. And you know, I don't see it. I mean, in a completely different way. I almost, I'm not saying 100%. I almost think that's a harder fight for Stipe than Ngannou is.
Blades.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think I've probably said this to you. I'm pretty sure I've said this to you in passing. I'm not a super fan of Ngannou. I think he's got to where he's got through a lot of, like I said, bulldozing a lot of people. What he did to Rosenstrike.
Look, bro, people could be watching this and flaming both of us, innit?
Yeah.
I feel reasonably confident in Rosenstrike.
Yeah, Rosenstrike. That sounds good. That sounds like a good name. That's a fighter's name.
Isn't it?
Yeah, super. And what Ngannou did to him, for me, bulldozed him. Yeah, Rosenstrike should have had an answer for it. But I'm like, yo, that wasn't that good, man. That was just like.
No, but I mean, even to your point, what was funny about that was literally weeks before that fight, there was the footage came out of Ngannou being shown a little something by Mike Tyson, and he's saying like, you know, keep
yeah,
and everything. And then in the actual fight, he just comes and windmills.
Same shit.
Mike Tyson was watching that like, did I not just tell you?
Crazy. But again, that's the show. And then, you know, when Ngannou's doing his bit as far as making it his name known, and he's in these little sound bites and these little clips of Ryan Garcia and that's all cool. That's all fun. That's all wicked. But he seems to be trumping everything with his natural attributes, his physical attributes. And what we saw the other day when Stipe was doing the head move, sway, I was like, that for me, that's levels, man. That's levels. To be that big and to be that nimble and have that kind of movement and that ability, don't come around there and try and windmill me. And if the division's not deep enough to be able to handle that, then so be it. But I don't overly rate Ngannou as like he might be a world beater in his power. Even how he hit my man Overeem, I was so upset, man, because Overeem is like a slower version. That time divided by two is half as fast as he used to be, man. And you can see that he's still thinking what he needs to do, but his reactions ain't what they are. A lot slower than he used to be. But if anyone says to me that Ngannou is a better fighter than Overeem, you haven't been watching the game for long enough. You haven't been watching the game. He's a younger, stronger, fitter guy, maybe. But if you're talking about who's the better fighter, Overeem is the better fighter for sure.
And it was almost the same thing when Overeem lost to Rosenstrike.
Oh man,
he was out striking him for 4.5 rounds.
Hate it.
I mean, not even 4.5 rounds. 5 rounds minus 8 seconds.
And then you're gonna, you know what? All praises to people, because an L's an L and a W's a W. Cool, we get that. But fucking hell, man. Again, we don't want to go down that path of, if he was this and if he was that, and if he was 10 years younger, 5. Overeem came to the UFC as like he'd already done what he needed to do. At this point, Overeem when he came to the UFC, from where I'm sitting, he was like, get a payday whilst you're still able, because you've proved yourself in your chosen trade. This is just like a little sprinkle on top for the legacy. And yeah, it went good. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. But that's that whole kind of conversation about the PEDs. Was he a lot better when? Obviously, he was a lot better when he was on. But is he dramatically different now? He's off. But I don't think that will change your IQ. But it's clearly had an effect on his reaction speeds. Clearly had an effect on his striking speed. But fucking hell, man, Overeem for me should be able to clean up this guy. But that's based off of my kind of probably rose-tinted lens of glory and everything that he'd done in the kickboxing world. So maybe I'm probably too biased to see what it is, and maybe this other guy is a lot younger, a lot fitter, and more on it. But Overeem should bang out this guy. But can he win against Stipe? Can he win against Ngannou? I don't really see it, man.
We've already seen what happened with Overeem and Stipe, and to Overeem's credit, it was competitive.
Yeah.
For a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Until Stipe got to finish, and again, I think this speaks to people's sort of I mean, I don't know what you want to use the word disrespect, but we might have to.
Yes.
But like with Stipe, people don't realize how good he is, and you talk about Ngannou finishing people in the first round. Like Stipe hasn't done the exact same thing, maybe not necessarily in the most viral highlight reel way. As Ngannou has, but he's been TKOing people in the very first round, and people like Verdum, Overeem, do you know what I'm saying? Mark Hunt, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Mark, fucking that breaks my heart as well. I fucking love Mark, but yeah, that was peak.
Guy, innit?
So and again, he's boat sailed, and it's quite clear, and everybody knows it. Boxing, whatever. I mean, them guys can't take that amount of licks without the evasive and the elusiveness of boxing, as well as the hand protection of boxing. You can't be a heavyweight cage fighter for too long unless you're John Jones.
I mean, realistically, we've yet to see, man. Like, I'm of the opinion that John Jones will do very well at heavyweight, but in this game, nothing can be taken for granted. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we really can't take anything for granted at heavyweight, man. We really can't. I am of the opinion that John Jones will do very well.
Yeah.
But I think the interest for me is the new challenge. Like, I'm so glad John Jones is moving up. I'm so glad, because realistically, 100%. I don't really care to see him fight at light heavyweight too much longer. Like, who?
No, it's cleaned it out, and realistically, if Izzy is doing what he says he's going to do, he can handle that whole division for a while, and he looks. I think that I saw an interview the other day that John Jones, out of season, should we say, walks around at like 240 something, just jamming, just kicking it.
I mean, that might have been back then, but he's probably more than he's 250 now.
That's what I'm saying. So like, he's already going to be acclimatized to it. He's going to be able to handle it a lot more. And whether we like it or not, we know for a fact that kind of heavyweight and above, if you went into boxing super heavyweight, them guys don't put in the road work like the lower divisions do. They won't have the cardio. They're looking to finish you within 4. They're not really looking to go beyond that. You know, you get these exceptional cases where you've got the top echelon of fighters, say in boxing, that are the road workers. They do the running, they do the cardio. But John Jones moving up makes so much sense, and he's going to be able to handle the weight. And even if he is percentage slower, bruv, he's got so many tools. He could just go to a choke. Forget your wailing on me. Come into my space, and I'll give you one. We're done. We're at next one.
We're talking about someone who took DC down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I know, and you know he went for that on purpose as well, just to fuck him up in his head, just to fuck him up. But back to first for Overeem, for me personally, it's done. Even if he wins, and I want him to win, because he's part of that old fraternity of the Remy Bonyaski, the Tyrone Spong, those Dutch flying Dutchman super kickboxers who I watched ad nauseum as a kid. I love all them people, but for me, where does Overeem go? Even if he wins, where does he go? And I don't know what happened with his lip, but don't punch him no more. Don't punch him. Don't nobody punch him no more. Just body shots only. Just body shots only, because I don't want to see that flapping around again, man.
Yeah, man, that was not. Man, he was like Wolverine from that though. I can't lie. I saw that like a week after, and I was like, yeah,
swiftly. That injury, bro, it looked gruesome, and I don't think this probably segues into what I think is one of the more interesting bigger boy fights is Cyril, my guy, Cyril Gane.
It's hard with a name like this. Is hard when you only hear Americans saying it.
Right.
I wouldn't know how to say it in our accent. Do you know what I mean?
I think you go French. You go French and say Gane. I think like Jamaica Gane. It's that's what I'm thinking. Cyril Gane, innit? So Cyril Gane versus Rosenstrike. Yeah?
Cyril Gane do the thing, yeah?
He can't do it. He can't take it. He can't take it. That's what I'm saying. I can't. That for me is perfect because Rosenstrike is. I don't think he's as blunt of an instrument as Ngannou. I think he's probably more technically sound and strike. He's got more striking ability than Ngannou, I think personally. But maybe I don't know enough about him. But I know that Rosenstrike comes from the same batch of fighters as Overeem, Tyrone Spong, Rashad Evans, Gilbert Burns. They're all in the same gyms. They all frequent the same gyms. So I'm like, you've got to learn something from them. And this Cyril guy, I think he's 6-0, 7-0. I think that's going to be the new face of what's going to pop off for John Jones at heavyweight. I think that guy has got the kickboxing credentials, the ability, the physicality, big cunt, excuse my language, but he's not just a windmiller guy. He does the Anderson Silva, kick to your face, whip. And I'm like, at that speed, that weight, I don't think a lot of people have got any answer for that. But we'll see if he can handle the windmiller.
Anyone that's weighing in at 260, 265 with abs.
Crazy human beings.
That's when it gets a bit nuts, isn't it? Yeah, that's when it gets a bit nuts, man.
And I'm about that because that fills that gap that basically was Overeem.
Sick fight, and I don't think it's even being talked about enough, to be honest, because it's sort of I guess maybe it doesn't have necessarily the implications on the division that
it's pivotal, man.
Do, but for the future, for the sort of future of the division, big fight, man. Looking forward to that one, man.
Because I don't know what the betting odds are, but I know that the PR, should we say, of UFC, they want Rosenstrike to go on back to where he was because he was supposed to be this world killer. So I think
what's interesting about that though is why is that not the case for Gane? Because man's got everything. He's got pedigree. He's got the look. Do you know what I mean? He's got everything that's needed to be Ngannou or the next Overeem if we're going back. Do you know what I mean?
If that's what they're seeing, maybe that's what they're seeing. This is the eliminator of the next wave of the face of the heavyweight division. Because after I think what's his face? Cyril came into UFC at like 3-0 or something crazy. So they seen him and it was like low. They was like, get this talent into a division that's a bit shallow, should we say?
Did he come from am I right? Did he come from Contender Series?
I don't know. I didn't see him. I didn't watch it. If he did, I thought it was a kickboxer.
I think he might have come from Contender Series. I can't be sure on that. I could be completely wrong in it, but I think he might.
We'll have a look, because again, these are the moments that they've done enough. Now it's time for me to put in a little bit of legwork up my side as a fan of it, and then just like drill down a bit more into the depth of what's going on. But every time I've seen him come out, he's got this you see his ring after post-fight thing. He's like, anyone, anywhere. He don't give a shit about. He's like, oh, who you gonna fight next? Anyone, anywhere. I'm like,
great that. Yeah.
My guy. Don't talk nothing. Just bang out anyone they put in front of you until.
Well, do you know what's interesting? Only a few guys can get away with that. Only a few guys get away with that. For the most part, I don't like it when people come on the mic after a big win and they say, oh, I don't care who I fight, whoever the UFC put me up against, I don't mind. I'm just going to fight anyone. And da-da-da-da-da. First of all, 99% of the time, they don't mean it. And second, do your research.
Yeah, you should know.
Your research. Who do you want? What's your... You tell me, not the other way around. I'm not going to sit here as a fan and say, oh, I think you should fight this guy, and you're going to listen to me. Do you know what I mean? Do your research in it and tell me who you want to fight next that you think is going to get you to the next stage of your career. But with someone like Gane,
It makes
it's
it
the same kind of thing as Ngannou, really. When you're
yeah.
scary as that, I can believe it. When
And
you're
with those numbers,
I believe it.
with that, if you've got a 18-2 or 22-2 record and you don't know where you're going, that's an issue. But if you're still in single figures, which I think he's 7 or 6-0, at that point, be the McGregor. Come. Let's have it now. I want everyone. And he's not saying I don't mind who I want to fight. He's saying I don't give a fuck who I want to fight. And that for me is the pivotal difference between what he's saying, and it could be a fucking language barrier, and it could be a bunch of other things. He might not be able to fully elaborate on what he wants to say and all the rest of it. That's the easiest way out, but it works, and I'm gonna go with it. And if I'm calling that one early, man, because I think that Cyril's on to bigger and better things, and I think that not only if he did lose, it don't make fuck all of a difference, because you're gonna get better, you're gonna progressively get better.
I don't think it does for either of them. I don't think it does for either. I think if Rosenstruck loses, not a problem. You're still a contender. You're not done by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not done. But they'll show him. For me, I'm like, this is the UFC, and this will show him that you can't just get all the way to the top just by having a good punch. How dare you? It's mixed martial arts. This is what we do. And that's kind of my kind of stuff. And I like Rosenstruck as well. But at the same time, I hate big and good for nothing. I hate that. I hate that people that are just like either can take licks and just throw one game changer punch. Don't rate it. So I want it to be more tasteful. I want people to be more like the John Jones type fighters. You know, the full arsenal. Everything can go. And I think that makes a healthier division. More eyes come look at the sport, and it converts fans as well. As much as Ngannou is the highlight reel soundbite and the Instagram clip of a hella knockout. Come on, man! If you see a big guy with head movement, IQ, and technical ability, that for me is like that's the best thing, because you're an apex predator at that point. You're not only physically bigger than everyone, you can touch up everyone, and that gets into the whole conversation of baddest man on the planet talk. You know, there can't be some. That like Mighty Mouse, as sick as he is, Mighty Mouse can't be the baddest man on the planet. Unfortunately, that's just not going to run. It's not a thing, you know. So for me, heavyweight always I hold it in such high esteem that I just want it to be as tasty.
That is where the moniker baddest man on the planet even comes from. Is the heavyweight world, whether it's boxing, MMA, it's reserved for heavyweight. Like I mean, to your point, and that you can't be 125 pounds and be the baddest man on the planet, unfortunately.
Because some guy down the pub will just choke you out. It'll be done. It'll be done before you know it. But yeah, man, I think that as far as what's coming up next in the game, we touched on it before, but for me, there's so much happening, and we should probably talk about the light heavyweight, because I think that it's not really. I don't know whether they've started their kind of campaign of the kind of the press leading up to it yet, or maybe they're waiting for Conor to fizzle out before they start talking about it.
When is that fight? It's not too long.
I think it's in.
We're talking about
March.
Izzy and Yan.
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
Early March.
6th.
6th of March. That's not far. That is really not far. We're a month away.
Ain't heard much about it. Maybe there's some kind of questions about the New Zealanders' travel, because apparently they have to get a pre-booked place certified and stamped to say you can leave the country at a certain time, you can come back in the country at a certain time. Maybe there's still some question marks on whether you can leave or not. Maybe, I don't know. But I haven't heard much about it. But as well as that, are you excited? Are you gassed about that? Ooh, that's already that's the answer right there.
I feel like it's interesting in terms of legacy, and if Izzy can win, it's interesting in terms of legacy. But in terms of, you know, everyone says styles make fights. In terms of style, I don't see many ways for Yan to win this.
He could just blow out his calf swift, and that could be it done with leg kicks before we even talk about anything else. It could be done in leg kicks. So he might not even be able to let him touch him. He could easily evade him and blow his leg out and not even get into the whole we don't even need to swing. We might not even need to swing. We could just use legs.
And this is the thing, we're talking about a guy who's just fought someone at 205 pounds who weighs in at 205 and then comes into the cage the next day at around 215. So it's not like Izzy don't fight big guys. I think that sort of, can Izzy kind of adapt to a bigger weight class? And like, let's be honest, Izzy's not coming in at 205 on the dot,
no,
whilst having cut from 240,
no.
like John Jones. You know what I mean? Like, that's not happening. Izzy's not putting on a huge amount of weight. Yan's not a huge, great deal bigger than some of the guys that he's fought Romero and he's fought Costa.
Yeah.
Of absolutely enormous human beings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's not a huge unanswered question there for me.
So maybe it's not competitive enough for it to even drive that amount of interest. You're saying you think it's too cut and dry, an obvious win.
Yeah, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's a chance. Obviously, of course, there's a chance that because this guy has obviously got massive knockout power. But again, like, we're talking about the skill set and the head movement and the evading the big shots and Izzy's length, the reach of man. Like, there's not a great deal of ways for Yan to win this, in my opinion.
Quite limited.
Yeah, Izzy's got a lot of ways that he can win this fight, and yeah, like I'm sort of hesitant to even go too much on this because I think it's almost disrespectful to Yan to write him off completely, and that's not something I want to do. But this isn't a guy that we've seen never lose. This isn't a guy that we've seen defend his title multiple occasions. He had a great win over Dominic Reyes, who sort of had the performance of his life against John Jones.
Yeah, didn't he just?
Almost, but has looked almost mediocre up until that point after.
Yeah.
I mean, up until that point, like, I mean, you look at Reyes when he fought Volkan Ozdemir.
Yeah.
Who got destroyed. I mean, I know you're talking about MMA now, which doesn't work, I know. But Volkan Ozdemir got destroyed by DC and then looked like a fucking world beater against Dominic Reyes in a fight that he probably should have won, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean?
It's weird. It's a weird weight. It's a weird weight class now that the void of John Jones is now kind of, he's moved on now. It's where he left it in a weird place. But I could honestly say, if Reyes was the champion right now, I'd be more excited to see Reyes versus Izzy right now than Block.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but to me, that's far too many ifs, because if Reyes champion, that means that had a great performance against Yan, which he did.
He got blown out.
Do you know what I mean? Which then means that he didn't get his fucking soul taken off him by John Jones and didn't affect him. But unfortunately, it did. It did affect him.
That's true.
It did not look great against Yan. So you can see what you're saying, but there's far too many sort of shoulda, woulda, couldas in there for me.
So that's Izzy gonna potentially be a double weight world champion, right? And you don't look very moved. Is that because of the depth of the division, or is that because of what's Izzy done? Excuse me, that's a lot of ifs and buts. Is Izzy lacking anything in his game? Do you think personally? Do you think he could be? Do you think he's had an easy ride? Do you reckon he deserves everything what he has, or?
Yeah, I get it. That's a difficult question. It's a good question, very good question, but it's a difficult one. And I'll tell you, I don't want to sound like a hater either. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to sound like I'm because Izzy is something else. He is something special. His striking is it's beautiful to watch. And as someone who I personally know more about striking, so I feel like I can appreciate it more. As someone who can appreciate some striking, I love the way he fights. I really, really do. However, and okay, going back to the depth of the division, I'm not 100% sure it's quite there yet, like in terms of either really middleweight or light heavyweight.
I think,
Okay.
Middleweight, that's tasty. I like that.
If you remove Izzy from it, it is.
Oh, okay, fucking hell, yeah.
Then yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's arms in.
But who is he not beaten? That's really going to give him realistically a decent fight. Don't get me wrong, Robert Whittaker has looked very, very good since the Izzy fight.
Yeah.
Has he done enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I think the rematch is going to go differently?
Ooh, probably. Arguably not. Yeah. Definitely leaning towards not.
And again, with light heavyweight, I don't necessarily see the depth in the division right now. So, and again, this is the thing with Izzy, and going back to your question, has he had an easy ride of it? Not necessarily. At times, he's perhaps made it look easy because of how good he is. But if DC was still fighting in light heavyweight, if this was 3 years ago, if DC was still fighting in light heavyweight, would I think Izzy would have even a chance against DC? Probably not.
Probably not. Or the closest thing obviously that as far as frame, reach, style, tools, the closest thing we've seen to that was John Jones. And that's why everyone's talking about Israel versus John Jones. And we know that's his kryptonite.
Izzy winning that. I do not see Izzy winning that.
What, Izzy versus John Jones?
Yeah.
Wonder what that would even be. I don't think that's ever going to happen personally, but where would they meet? Would they meet at light? I don't see Izzy being able to go up to heavyweight. Surely.
I don't see that either. And especially not so quickly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to put some age on that. He's age.
I mean, this is the thing, and Izzy's not even a young guy, realistically. He's young for a fighter, because obviously fighters kind of can go, especially at the higher weight classes, they can go a little bit longer than, say, I don't know if we're talking footballers or another sport. But Izzy's what, 31, 32? You know what I mean? I don't necessarily see him getting the muscle on his frame needed to get to heavyweight and do it sensibly. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? I feel like you could just eat a load of shit and get to
blown up
the scales. Let's be really honest. Izzy's never weighing in at 265. That is not happening.
The only thing I would see right now, what I want to see still, is Whittaker 2. And I don't think it's ripe enough. I don't think that fruit is not ripe for me to eat that just yet. What Robert needs to do a bit more, and I want to see what happens when he goes up. But
he's Rob's got Costa next. I think that's either finalized or being finalized. If Rob does what Izzy did to Costa in just as much, if not more, dominant fashion, would you then be excited for Rob Izzy too? Yeah.
Yeah. And I am going to, and I probably would, not going to say put my house on it, but I see no opportunity for Costa to win that fight. Not only seeing the evidence of what Robert can do against a real kind of point technical striker like Till. When that Till fight, that on the toes, in and out, that for me, Costa can't handle that. I don't think, and I'd probably rather see Till versus Costa at some point, or something like that. But I think
that's another great fight that's coming up. Actually, is Till Vettori. That's another great.
People don't really give a fuck about Vettori, man, but fucking hell, man, I think that guy's got what it takes to go on to do bigger things. Obviously, I don't want him to win because it's Till, and let alone him being English, let alone that I think he's a fucking sick fighter, kickboxing background, yada, yada, yada. But I still want Vettori. I still want it to be a cracking fight, man. I reckon it's going to be a crazy fight. I reckon it's going to be super memorable.
I mean, Vettori, and I think this might even be a bit of a controversial statement, because obviously the Gastelum fight was there, Izzy and Gastelum, but beyond that, and even including that, Vettori gave Izzy his closest fight. It might not have been his toughest. Toughest, because obviously the Gastelum fight, I think, was real bite down on your mouthpiece, dig deep, who wants it more. Toughness was on display there. But I think it was certainly closer. I mean, at the end of the Gastelum fight, I think even though there was moments in particular rounds, maybe rounds, I've forgotten which, but say just, for an example, rounds maybe 2 and 3, there might have been moments we thought, Gastelum's doing very well here, whatever. But essentially, we all knew before the the scorecards were read out that Izzy had won 3 rounds, Gastelum had won 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, you know what I mean? Like, it was very tough for him. But the Vettori fight, I remember at the time, and I haven't actually gone back and watched it in a long time, but I remember at the time, there was certainly, I mean, there was already a bit of a hype around Izzy because of you know, just how good his striking was.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember at the time people saying, I think Vettori might have taken that.
Yeah. Arguable. And then if this is his time to come into the fold of like the big talk and the big fights and the pay-per-views and whatever, I'm down with that. That's still again adds depth to that division. That's what I'm saying. I like that weight class. And from middleweight upwards, it's arguable. There's only a sprinkling of sick things, but at the same time, it's good because John Jones will go not say untested, but we know where it's going to end up. John Jones is going to go and have up a couple big boys in the division and then put that cherry on that icing, on that sprinkles, on that cake and say, you are the best to ever do it, full stop. Baddest man on the planet, conversation's over, you've done everyone out. And not only have you beaten some of the biggest names at the hardest time, there weren't really many given fights for John. I don't remember there being any kind of like, yeah, he's gonna breeze through it. And even when I thought he was gonna breeze through Dominic Reyes, we saw how that fucking went. That was some ugly shit. So that for me, that guy is not only can he probably physically take out anybody if you ask him to in real life, he's proven himself to be like a transcending generations. Where he mash up Shogun, Rumble, Rashad, all of the names, all of when the shorts had advertising on it. You know what I mean? It's all of the times and what he did to Gustafsson too as well. Oh yeah, that was close, was it? I'll show you. I was bunning Zoot before I come to that fight, and I still had him up. I'm like, wow, this guy is on a whole nother level. And hats off to John.
We all know how John Jones does in rematches, and like, I mean, even DC finished him in the rematch. Like, you don't want to rematch John Jones. If you think you did okay and came in as a runner-up,
take that.
You don't want to do it.
Get that laminated and that signed poster. Leave it on the shelf and allow it.
Live off it the rest of your life.
Live off it. Go down the pub and say, look,
that is fine.
That's fine.
Is totally okay, innit?
That's fine. That's fine. So again, not to take it all the way back down in weight division. This whole kind of does Conor do better in these rematches? Statistically, it's
had apart from Dustin. I'm trying to think. Who's he fought twice?
Nate.
Oh, Nate. Yeah, of course.
That's it. Statistically, it wasn't that. It was kind of close, that second fight, I think.
What, Nate and Conor?
2.
Yes, it was, but it was close. But he certainly did better the second time than he did the first time.
So does that allow enough of a question mark for Dustin to have a trilogy and it be worth me paying pay-per-view money for? Because I don't think it does. I don't think it's even close. I don't think it's going to change that much. I don't think it's going to be a crazy different fight. I reckon Dustin, and you know the thing about why I don't want that even more, the risk factor for that is Dustin wins, so what? No, sorry, the other way around. If Conor loses, you're done. You're done out here. You're done. There wasn't no like, oh, this was a bad day, this was that. You're just not good enough anymore. See you later, mate. If Dustin wins, we'll be like, yeah, we knew he was going to beat him anyway. So it doesn't really make sense for him to even be talking.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to see that, and I don't think Conor wins it. I don't think he.
It's mad. It's mad. Imagine this. Like 2 weeks ago, however long that was. However long ago. It's so sick how things change.
I feel silly, innit? I feel silly.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, man. I don't even like looking at that last episode, not the last one, but the episode we did before the Conor fight. I don't really want to look at that anymore, to be honest.
So maybe is it too early to call the first quarter of the bunch of fights going up? I think we should run through them, because not only I feel like it was a learning experience, should we say? You know, win or learn. We'll keep it moving. And as well as I feel like we need redemption on this as well, isn't it? Especially for the ones that have definitely been booked in.
I do want to just bring your mind back to a conversation we had before Hooker and Chandler. I just wanted to do that. When you say the word redemption, I don't know about you, but I'm one for one.
You're good. You're good.
And you lose some, innit?
Yeah. I was trying to play the team card at that point. There's no I in team when it comes to this thing, but it's okay. You're right. I've got a board and it's on there, so we call that 1 for 1, innit? We call that 1 for 1. We'll strike that down as that. That's fine for you, innit? So yeah, from the bottom up, just to run through it, because I don't think it's obviously worth talking about and all the rest of it. But as far as kind of like big fights and maybe even for the belts, you've got Jan versus Sterling coming up for the belt, and obviously we can get into the depth of it. But I think personally, this is a call it thing for me. Who do you reckon is going to take it? Who do you reckon is going to move on to bigger, better things?
Sterling.
You know what I mean? So do I. I think as well. I
think he's so well rounded.
Sick.
I think his striking is come on leaps and bounds, and I think the way that he can. I mean, he's called a fucking human backpack. They don't call him that for nothing. The way he can jump on your back and choke people out is just ridiculous, bro. Yes. So yes,
Sterling, and I think that would do much more for that weight class than Jan can.
I also Sterling. I don't know. There's something about him. I just like him.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like his whole team. That Sarah, Longo, Weidman.
Yeah.
The whole team. I like all of them. And I want to see Sterling do well in it.
The same with that same sentiment for me with Jan is Tiger Muay Thai stable. That's the Volkanovski, the Hookers, all of those kind of Australasian, that side of the world people all go to Tiger Muay Thai, and I rate them all. And Jan's part of that fraternity, but I still want Sterling to take the belt and then big up that division, man. Pump some gas into that. This guy, I know that he's not a talker, but come on.
Well, listen, we got a great fight in that division coming up on Saturday. We got Frankie Edgar, Corey Sandhagen. Sandhagen just knocked the fuck out of Marlon Moraes.
Yeah.
Who was it that Frankie Edgar just beat? Was it Pedro Munoz?
I've not seen him. I haven't seen a fight from him in a while. Even when we spoke about it, I was like, right, is Frankie still going?
Yeah. But I mean, that's an important fight in this division. And Marlon Moraes himself, who obviously, like I say, just got knocked out by Corey Sandhagen. That don't mean he's finished.
Nah.
Division has got a lot going on. So Sterling for the belt, and then
spice up the whole thing, spice up the whole division. Done.
I personally
done. So we're gonna do the Volkanovski Ortega for the belt. What's this about?
I'm going Ortega.
You reckon?
I'm going Ortega. Yep.
I think that that fight alone warrants its own talk, and I think we will come back to that at some point.
Absolutely.
But I think Volkanovski's striking and toughness is gonna trump him. I'd like to see Ortega do well, but I'm leaning towards Volkanovski only because of, I don't know, he just seems like a harder bastard, and that's probably a dumb thing to put it down to, but it just seems harder.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I think the loss to Max. I think the loss to Max did something to Brian Ortega's mental state.
Oh, bald. He's bald. I forgot about. But he's bald.
And I mean, Korean Zombie is a phenomenal striker.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal striker, and Ortega beat the shit out of him on the feet,
touched him
and
up.
Not forget about the fact that you can't leave your neck exposed for 1 millisecond around this guy, or he is at.
You make a good case.
I think he's got the tools to get it done.
You make a good case.
I don't think Volkanovski is particularly keen on taking Brian Ortega down to the ground.
No. So, and I almost forgot about the post locks cutting off. He was almost possessed by some kind of Holy Ghost at the time, because he went mental. He went
Yep.
mad, and I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
So maybe I have said Volkanovski at this point, but maybe I might swing boats when we come to do the real fight focus when we actually break that one down, innit? So as far as the ones that we've kind of touched on already, we've Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis. Who you got?
Curtis Blades.
No talking, done.
All day long. I don't think that's going to be particularly competitive.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think there's obviously, there's always a chance. Someone who's carrying a lot of knockout power like Derek Lewis. I think there's a chance for that to play a factor. But if it doesn't, then I really don't see that being particularly competitive.
Clean sweep. That is calm. I need to go back and do something and know a bit more about Blades. But my money for that one is on Derek, just because I feel like he's in in the ascension. I really do feel like he's in the ascension right now, and coming back, and he just feel like he's taking it. I don't know. I don't want to say take it more seriously, because you're always going to be taking it seriously in training. But he just looks a lot more. It looks a lot more well, and that probably don't amount to a hill of beans.
Genuinely, I don't know if he did take it seriously before. I do see what you're saying, because I genuinely don't know if he did take it seriously before.
Wow. Okay. Well, it seems to be quite evident, man. But we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. But my money's on Derek with that. And I'm not saying that Derek's going to be like outstrike him, out this or out that, or maybe even out points. I just see Derek just clumping the shit. Boom. One out of nowhere, Rosenstrike style, bang, and then that's it. We're finished, and I'll be happy with that, because I do want to see Derek go on to bigger and better things. I
love Derek Lewis. This is the thing
cool guy, man.
Lewis, really, really cool guy, and good fighter as well. A very good fighter. But Blades, man, I can see him ragdolling the shit out of them, and just making it very difficult for him to breathe and to catch his breath and to stand up, and I don't think he does well in those situations.
And I think to as far as what we know is coming up, what's booked, and the defenses and whatnot, you got obviously Usman versus Burns. We touched on it, we spoke on it a couple of times because it's that big of a fight, but I can't remember who you reckon's gonna take it, man.
I don't think I even said. I think probably for a good reason I avoided saying, because
close. Close. Oh, as long as it's not boring though. When you said that nullifying, I was like, fuck. Nah, I'm scared, man.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we'll have to wait and see, but I think it will be the toughest fight Usman has had to date.
Yes, and that's it. Yes.
But I think he will do it.
Usman will take it.
Yeah, I think he can. I think he will do it. I think he will. And listen, this is not the same kind of prediction where I'm saying with Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis, where I'll put my house on.
Nah.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very close, and it's certainly close for me in deciding. Close, man, but I think Usman can do it. I think.
I mean that you've got Kelvin Gastelum versus Hen.
Wait! You didn't say who you.
Wait! Oh, okay. Sorry. You know what? I thought. You know what? In my mind, it's so obvious. In my mind, it's so obvious that it's Gilbert Burns without even. Okay, no, actually, okay. It's not. I'll tell a lie. It's not obvious. And it's not.
Didn't even need to think about it.
It's not clear, but but this is what I was saying to you about what we said in the past about, like, I'm not only picking my team, and I'm not going to be on the fence about it. With these kind of like really, when I like them both as well, when I think they're both skilled, when it's a real tough match, I'm gonna just plant my flag in the ground and be like, I'm rocking with Gilbert, man, because I think that he will do a lot for the excitement factor, the Brazilian factor. I love when Brazilians are champions in the UFC. It just makes it more heat, man. Just thinks it makes it more vex.
Yeah, I do know.
And when you got to go over there and get a belt from him, it's like, oh fuck, it's all on top. I love all that shit. I love all that shit, and I think that this is a good time to jump in and get that. Let alone that them, like I said, being the kind of yin to each other's yang, and from the same gym, and that grudge match, and then bragging rights within the gym, and what that's going to cause after, because there's going to be a rematch for sure, I'd imagine, and then this gonna break the whole thing in half, and there's going to be Burns versus Usman, and I reckon that's gonna cause something very interesting. That's going to kind of take the shine off of the fact of the strange position of the vacant Khabib and the not present Conor. I think that there's something that needs to come now and I don't think it's going to be at heavyweight, because that's quite cut and dry. It's obviously, like I said, Izzy's going to quite clearly blow him away, and then John Jones is going to quite clearly do a lot in heavyweight. So it's kind of a bit obvious for me, but there in that weight class, I think it's going to be really interesting, man. And I don't even know what even Tyrone Woodley's even.
Well, listen, bro, listen. I wouldn't hate to see either the Usman Colby rematch or Colby Burns. Those are great fights themselves, bro.
I'll be all over that.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot going on there for sure. We didn't even. I know we've talked about it at length, but we haven't got a call it from you for Stipe and Ngannou. Stipe and Ngannou too. Was you trying to avoid that one?
Yeah, I was, man. I was, because I know where you lie, and I think you're absolutely right in as far as, you know, Stipe being not given the kudos that he should be given, underrated, under-celebrated, way better than people give him credits for. Stipe is gonna win. Stipe is gonna win, isn't it? I don't, like I said, but I've been saying I don't rate this whole big and good for nothing. I think that's bollocks, and I don't think Ngannou's got better at all since he last fought, and maybe even kind of arguably Stipe hasn't, because he was already a lot better than everyone else anyway. So I don't know, maybe he'll be a run it back, but obviously you can clip him with one of those whalers again. I don't know, but I just don't want to see Ngannou win. Not because I don't like Ngannou, I just don't rate him as a mixed martial artist, man. He's just a big bloke that can hammer faces, and you know that for me should get you to the Premier League, but you shouldn't be past like top 5 for me, innit? But that's just my kind of romanticized how the world should work. You know, nobody should, you know, defy this law, because that's the world I live in. But I reckon I want Stipe to win, and I want him to win in a fashion that propels him to be the world beater that he should be revered as, you know, going forward. You know, and I think beating Ngannou again is going to allow that to happen. Get him in that talks of the Mount Rushmores and the don't fuck with Stipe's. Because again, I'd rather see Stipe fight John Jones than Stipe fight Ngannou. I want to see John Jones fight Ngannou on the way up to the belt, but I don't. That'll be so quick and over with. It's not even. It'll be just like, it'll be anticlimactic, I think. You know, so I'd much rather Stipe win.